into where we left off, right where we left off last week, and just to just to catch up to where we were and get our bearings straight. So we were talking about. Let's just mute everybody. Julie, you want to mute everybody?
I did. And then unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about
You have to unmute yourself, Rabbi.
talking about a person's obligation in this world, and the idea of figuring out what our purpose is and what our mission is. And that was what we spoke about the first week. Last week we focused on this idea that that in addition to having unique individual missions in this world, what we're particularly sent here to do, achieve, or accomplish, we also have a general mission, a mission klali, a mission that is something that is common to all. Why Hashem created the world, what He put us here for, and that is that we were put here to delight in Hashem and to benefit from the radiance of His Shekhinah, the divine presence. Okay, now the Ramchal says that there is no pleasure that compares to this pleasure. We spoke about this idea that there are a lot of different forms of pleasure in the world, but ultimately the highest level of pleasure, the one that is worth trading up all lower levels of pleasure for, is the pleasure of spiritual connection, the pleasure of our soul, of our neshama, reaching its potential and doing what it has the ability to do, which is to connect to Hashem in the most meaningful way, to be able to develop a relationship with the infinite source of existence. That's what we were speaking about last week. And we'll figure it out. We're here. So now we're on page 23. And it says here, I want to pick up right in the middle of the page, where it says the true place for this greatest pleasure is the world to come. For that is the world that was created with the design necessary for this purpose. Okay, so what the Ramchal is pointing out over here really is that the goal of our existence, why we're here.
You're breaking up, Rabbi.
Okay. Am I still breaking up? It's okay. Okay. The purpose of our existence is this divine spiritual connection, but the place where that happens really ultimately is Olam Haba, the world to come, not in this world. So I want to ask you now. Here's a question based on the words, not based on anything else we've ever discussed. Just based on the words here, the true place for this greatest pleasure is the world to come. I have a question. Based on these words, and if you dissect these words carefully, what do you think is the opinion of the Ramchal, of Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, regarding the question of whether there is spiritual pleasure in this world or not? Based on these words. Only based on these words. If your answer is not based on these words, hold on for a different time. Based on these words, can you glean from what he's saying here whether or not there is spiritual pleasure in this world?
I would think you could.
Okay, let's hear.
Well, it says that is the true place for the greatest pleasure. It doesn't mean that that's the only pleasure. It's the greatest pleasure, which I could see that concept.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. But I want to just point out one thing, and this is a good opportunity to point this out. Read that. If you look at that sentence, you see how some of the words are in bold, and then the word greatest is not in bold.
True. Yeah, I do see that.
What that means is the words that are in bold are the actual translation of the text, and then the words that are not in bold are the translators or the authors, the elucidators, sort of elucidation of the text. So that word greatest actually is not in the Hebrew text,
Uh-huh.
which is interesting, right? So in other words, in Hebrew it says V'ha'idun hagadol
Begadol.
sheyicholim. Sorry. Koma idum hazeh, and the place for this idun, for this pleasure, be'emet, truly, hu olam haba, is the world to come. So, even you're right, but even just using the bold words, the actual words, there's another way, an additional way that you can glean what you just said, come to the same conclusion that you just came to, Bob.
The true.
Yes.
True doesn't mean only necessarily.
Correct. That is correct. And that is what the commentaries explain over here that the Ramchal is pointing out. The true place, meaning the ultimate place, the full, uninhibited, unlimited place of spiritual pleasure, the complete, unobstructed, total place for spiritual pleasure is Olam Haba, is the world to come. But, and remember, we have the Vilna Gaon telling us that there's not one superfluous word in this entire at least the first 10 chapters of the book. That's true for the ultimate pleasure is in the world to come. The ultimate spiritual pleasure of devekus, of clinging to Hashem, of being one, united with Hashem spiritually is in the world to come. But there is possibility of a lower level, if you want to say a watered down version or an approximate level or version of pleasure, spiritual pleasure in this world. And that's why he says the real place, like the ultimate place for this pleasure is in the world to come. But in this world, there's also possibility of spiritual pleasure. What is referred to in Judaism as Me'ain Olam Haba? First, let me translate what those words mean. Olam Haba, we know what it means. Olam Haba means the world to come. Me'ain means a taste of the world to come. What is it in Judaism that is referred to as Me'ain Olam Haba, a taste of the world?
Shabbos. Shabbos.
Shabbos Kodesh. Me'ain Olam Haba, Me'ain Olam Haba. It's a famous song. There's like 5 versions of it. My father will sing one of them for you if you're lucky. Depends how his voice is sounding today. Me'ain Olam Haba is a taste of the world to come. Shabbos, the experience of Shabbos, says the Talmud, is 1/60th. We talk about why 1/60th, but it doesn't really matter. It's a fraction. It's a little taste. It's a sliver of the world to come. Why? What does that mean? Because what is the world to come? The world to come is when you stop becoming and you are just being, right? Our life, and we're going to see it in a moment, life is a process, Ramchal is going to lay out for us now, of becoming. You know, it's a little bit of a cliche at this point, but someone said it once, and I don't know where it came from, but whoever decided that we were called human beings, that was the worst name ever. We're not human beings. We're human becomings. We're human becomings. We're in a lifelong process of becoming. Okay, Olam Haba is where we get to be that which we spent 120 years becoming. But Shabbos is a microcosm of that. Shabbos is the exact same dynamic. Shabbos is where we get to stop for 25 hours to enjoy being that which we just spent the last 6 days becoming. 6 days you shall work and do all your work and all your effort. And on the 7th day, you stop working, you stop becoming, and you get to be that which you spent the last 6 days becoming. And of course, it makes so much sense because if you never stop to be able to be that which you're always busy becoming, then there's absolutely no point to the becoming. If you don't ever get to be that which you're becoming, then you're just an ongoing process, a machine that just keeps going and going and going. So Shabbos is Me'ain Olam Haba. So true, Ramchal is pointing out over here that Olam Haba, the world to come, is where we experience unobstructed, unlimited, total spiritual connection. But in Olam Hazeh, it is possible to feel, to tap into, to experience on some level spiritual connection. It's not the same. It's not complete. It's not whole. When we're in Olam Hazeh, when we're in this world that we find ourselves in right now, that we're all coexisting in at this very moment, our neshama, our soul, is surrounded and, in a sense, confined by and limited by a body. Okay, the body prevents the neshama from making that pure, total spiritual connection. After Olam Hazeh, after we leave this world, and the soul is no longer limited or obstructed or contained, limited by the body, then the soul is able to experience the true place for spiritual pleasure. Okay? But even in Olam Hazeh, even in this world, I still have a neshama. Granted, the neshama is limited and confined in a certain sense by my body, but I still have that neshama inside of me, and that neshama is able to connect spiritually and to link up to its source and to make that connection. And granted, it's in an incomplete way, okay, but it's still possible. So therefore, the answer to my question is absolutely. And the Ramchal, the commentaries who explain this path of the just, make a big deal out of this word in truth, meaning it's true that the real, full, unlimited experience of spiritual connection comes when my soul leaves the body and goes into the next world. But it's still spiritual. It's still possible to have that spiritual connection even in Olam Hazeh. Okay. Now, let's move on a little bit further. The true place for this greatest pleasure is the world to come, for that is the world that was created with the design necessary for this purpose. But the path that we must traverse to reach this desired destination of ours is this world. This world, okay? So what the Ramchal has just done with that one sentence is he has set up a model for us which explains that there are two stages to everything that we do in life. And we know this, everything that we do in life, there's two stages. There's the preparation and there's the experience that you were preparing for. Or let's say, for example, a person wants to become a doctor. So there's the preparation for becoming a doctor. Going to high school, taking care of your, getting good grades, going to college, taking care of your prereqs, and getting into medical school, going to medical school, doing an internship, getting a residency. All that is what we call in Hebrew hachana, preparation. It's all preparation for the tachlis. The tachlis is the purpose or the goal. So you have hachana and you have tachlis. Hachana is the preparation. The tachlis is being the doctor, healing, saving lives. So you have two stages in life. There's two stages. There's hachana and tachlit, preparation and that which you were busy preparing for, being that which you were preparing for. Another good example of this, Shabbos. Talked about Shabbos. Let's stay focused on Shabbos. It's still Sunday. It's still, Shabbos is still in the air. Shabbos. So Shabbos, you do hachana for Shabbos. What is the preparation for Shabbos? Shopping, inviting guests. Beis Shammai says that if you find something beautiful, tasty, delicious, some kind of delicacy during the week, assuming that it's not going to spoil or go bad, you should put it aside for Shabbos. Okay, so already from the beginning, preparing for Shabbos, preparing your who you're going to invite, you're preparing your divrei Torah, what words of Torah you want to speak about at the Shabbos table, who the guests are going to be. Fine, that's the preparation. That's the hachana, the preparation, and then you have the tachlis. What's the tachlis? The Shabbos, the 25 hours of Shabbos experience. And it's true with Shabbos, and it's true with everything in life. The more preparation you put into it, the more you get out of the experience. That's true with everything. The more you prepare, the more you put into it, get out. Okay? On Shabbos, it's an interesting halacha. There are a lot of things that you can't do on Shabbos. Here, I'll ask this question. This is a good question. halachic question. Are you allowed to make your bed on Shabbos? Can you make your bed on Shabbos? Assuming that you make your bed. I never make my bed. I never make my bed. I don't see why it's worth it. But I never, okay. But can you make your bed on Shabbos? Julie says yes. Anyone say no? Anyone say yes? Why? Why yes? Why not?
Because
I'm going to say, go ahead.
One of
there
you
was
go.
nothing, there was nothing in building the, what do you call it?
Mishkan.
Yeah,
Mishkan.
that would prohibit you from doing it. It may not, it's sort of like moving furniture. There's nothing from stopping you from your doing it. It may not be the most spiritual thing to do, but you can still do it. That's my understanding.
Okay, that's great.
Actually, you're preparing for the next day. You're not doing it.
Okay, but can we just go back to Jeff for a second? Jeff, can you just push your camera a little bit down so I can see that nice beard that you're sporting? Oh, there we go. That looks good. You look good with a beard.
Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like a goatee. Is it a goatee or is it a full? Yeah, nice,
Yeah, just-
beautiful. I like it. Looks good. Okay.
You're saying
Yes,
that Shabbos
Scotty.
one.
Yep. What did you say? You said?
I said that you're preparing something for after Shabbos. You're not doing something for the enjoyment or the preparation of Shabbos.
Okay. So here's the answer. The answer to this question is the same answer to almost every question ever asked by a rabbi. And the answer is,
Some people do, some people don't.
Depends.
it depends, right? It depends. Why are you making your bed? If you're making your bed on Saturday morning, so that Saturday night after Shabbos, when you get into bed, you'll have a made bed, then no, you cannot make your bed on Shabbos because you're preparing on Shabbos for something after Shabbos. But if the reason why you're making your bed Shabbos morning is because you feel happier when your room is tidy and it's going to give you more enjoyment on Shabbos to be in a tidy room, or maybe you plan on taking a shluff after your cholent on Shabbos afternoon and you want to get into a made bed, then absolutely. There's nothing inherently wrong with making your bed on Shabbos. Like Jeffrey said, there's nothing about Mishkan. They didn't make their beds in the Mishkan. It's about hachana, preparation. You're not allowed to do preparation for after Shabbos on Shabbos. Same thing with dishes. Can I do my dishes on Shabbos or not? It depends. If the reason why I'm doing my dishes now is because I don't want to have to sit for 3 hours Saturday night and do the dishes because I have plans Saturday night, then no, because you're preparing now on Shabbos for after Shabbos. But if the reason why I want to do my dishes now is because I can't stand on Shabbos, it makes me unhappy to be in a house where there are dishes piled up, then yes, you can do them, okay? Because on Shabbos, you cannot do preparation. Why not? Because that's the exact opposite of what Shabbos is. The week is about preparation. Shabbos is about being, it's about tachlis. It's about experiencing the benefit of the preparation. So that duality exists in everything that we do, really. Okay. The Ramchal says that Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba are the same thing. Olam Hazeh is preparation. The path that we must traverse to reach the desired destination of ours, the desired destination being Olam Haba, the world to come, is this world. This world. This is the world where we do our preparation. Okay? And then he quotes for us the very, very famous, Julie, we just mute everybody again. I think some people got unmuted and I'll unmute myself. Okay. Then he quotes the very famous quote in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, which is the most magnificent parable that really drives this point home in such a clear, fantastic way. He says, this is the meaning of what the sages of blessed memory have said in Ethics of Our Fathers. Good opportunity to plug Ali's class tomorrow, Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avot, at noon tomorrow, which, by the way, we set our clocks back last night and you didn't. So it's a little confusing. We're only 7 hours ahead, but just for a week. So hopefully Ali, if you don't see Ali showing up on time, someone send her a text and remind her that you guys are only 7 hours ahead. But I think she'll get it because we spoke about it. Okay, what does it say in Ethics of Our Fathers? Ha'olam hazeh doma, the prosda b'fnei ha'olam haba. This world is similar to the vestibule before the world to come. Thus, man's ultimate goal lies beyond this world, but he can reach this world to come, the world to come only by passing through this world. And by the way, it's interesting that he doesn't quote the full quote over there, but if you look down in note number 6 on the bottom, towards the bottom of that note, the Mishnah concludes, ready yourself or prepare yourself in the vestibule so that you may enter the reception room. What's the purpose of the vestibule? The vestibule is they have mirrors in there and they have little stations in there. That's where you tuck your shirt in and you make sure that your beard and your hair is combed properly. That's where you prepare yourself. The vestibule is the place of preparation. So Olam Hazeh is the vestibule. It's preparation. For what? For entering into the banquet hall, to the reception room, Olam Haba. But, and I want to just remind ourselves that, okay, well, we'll see in a second. This is a first since we got here. It's actually raining in Jerusalem. Okay, I may have to relocate and go inside if this continues for a minute, but we'll see what happens. Okay, rain is a good thing, by the way. In Jerusalem, we daven for it because there's not enough water here, so we're not complaining. Okay, let's just see the next sentence over here. So I'll ask a question. How does one prepare? How does one prepare in Olam Haba? In Olam Hazeh for Olam Haba. How does one prepare in this world for the world to come? I know if I want to be a doctor, I know what I need to do to prepare. I need to go to medical school. I need to take my prereqs. I need to go get a residency. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do to prepare for Shabbos. I have to invite my guests. I have to prepare my words of Torah. I have to prepare the food. But how does one prepare for Olam Haba in Olam Hazeh? So the Ramchal answers that. He says, now the means that enable a person to reach this goal, the goal being spiritual pleasure and connection in the world to come, are the mitzvos that God, blessed be his name, commanded us to fulfill. And the place for performing these mitzvos is only in this world. Okay, so what do we have over here? We have the basic model. He's explained it to us now. We have basically what we need to know. And the rest of this book is just filling in the meat on these bones. Okay, so the goal, in Hebrew, the tachlit, the purpose, the goal, the place of where we can truly fulfill the purpose for which Hashem created us, which is spiritual connection, infinite pleasure, devekus, joining between my soul and the source of its existence, is Olam Haba, the world to come. Just a caveat, a note, remember that some of that spiritual pleasure is something that we can tap into even in this world, meaning the light of Olam Haba, the light of the world to come, sneaks through the cracks in this world and can be experienced and tasted and touched in this world as well. Okay, think about this. Think about it in these terms, using our analogy. The corridor or the vestibule is also part of the palace. Right? When you're in the vestibule, you're in the palace. You're not in the main part of the palace. You're not in the reception hall. You're not in the banquet hall, but you are in the palace. Okay, so even in the vestibule, you're able to experience part of the spiritual pleasure of connecting between my soul and Hashem. But the tachlis, the goal, the ultimate goal, the real place for this is Olam Haba. And where do we do the preparation? We do the preparation in this world. How? By doing the mitzvos. That's it. I prepare for Shabbos, inviting my guests, making my meal plan, preparing my Divrei Torah. I prepare for Olam Haba by doing the mitzvos. That's what he says. And the place to do the mitzvos, where can we do mitzvos? Can you do mitzvahs in the world to come? Is there any opportunity to do a mitzvah in the world to come?
No,
There is
it hasn't
not.
done here.
It has to be done here. There's a good analogy. Let's say you're flying on a long overseas flight, and you get to the airport, and the person behind the counter says, "Would you like to upgrade to business class?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course I would. Free upgrade." And they're like, "Yeah, right. Nice try." No, it'll be $1,800 if you want to upgrade to business class. $1,800, get it? That's ridiculous. I'm not going to spend $1,800. It's a 12 flight. I'll be fine. Okay. Do you want to upgrade to a seat with a little bit more leg room? Oh, okay. How much is that? $250. You know what? I'll be fine. It's not 12 hours. I can be uncomfortable. You get on the flight, and what happens? You're miserable after about 30 minutes. You're like, okay, forget it. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to take that upgrade. So you go up to you get up and you walk up to the front of the business class section, and you go over to the flight attendant over there, and you say, "Excuse me, I changed my mind. I'd like to upgrade to business class." And the flight attendant says, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do." "What do you mean? There's so much room here. There's no one even up here. Why can't I upgrade now? I'll give you my credit card. Swipe it." Sorry, the opportunity to upgrade is no longer available. You either upgrade before the flight takes off, or that's it. You can no longer upgrade. So that's the deal. So that's the same thing here. In Olam Hazeh, in this world, you can upgrade. You can do mitzvahs. You can do whatever you need to do, and that's how it works. But once you get out of Olam Hazeh, and you are, one second. Once you get out of Olam Hazeh, there's no longer any opportunity to upgrade. The upgrading possibilities are gone, and that's it. You're stuck, and you are wherever you are, whatever level you are on, whatever closeness you created between your soul, your neshama, and Hashem's neshama is locked in and stays that way permanently. Okay, you cannot do any more mitzvahs in Olam Hazeh. There's a famous story. I'm sure you've heard me tell this story before about the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon was on his deathbed. One second, everyone needs to mute because we hear extra noises that are distracting for everybody if you're not muted. Okay, so the Vilna Gaon on his deathbed, he was dying. He was leaving this world, and he was crying. And they asked him, "Why are you crying? You're going to Olam Haba. What are you possibly crying about? You're the Vilna Gaon. You're about to, be connected to Hashem in the deepest possible way." And he said, "I'm crying." He held his tzitzis. He held onto the strings of his tzitzis. And he says, because here in Olam Hazeh, for a few kopecks, for a few pennies, you could do mitzvahs. You can buy it. You could do a mitzvah. You can put on a pair of tzitzis. You could do another mitzvah and change for eternity your experience in the world to come. But once you leave, that's it. You can no longer do mitzvahs. There's no longer an opportunity to better myself through my own actions and through my own choices, which is why there's a famous custom that when you go to a cemetery, the halacha, the Jewish law says that you should tuck in your tzitzis. Put them in. Don't wear them on the outside. Why? Because it's called loeg larash. You're making fun. It's like making fun of a poor person that you have something that they don't have. Who's the poor person? The poor person is the people that are buried in the cemetery that are poor in the sense that they no longer have an opportunity to do mitzvahs. They no longer have the opportunity to better their situation in Olam Haba because they're no longer alive, right? The flight has taken off, the plane has taken off, and they can't do anything about it anymore. But you're still on the ground. You can still upgrade to the business class. So how? By doing mitzvahs. So you're supposed to tuck in your tzitzis, not to, so to speak, rub it in and make them feel bad for their situation. Okay. So
Okay,
yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Kabbalistically, how would you explain the vestibule? Is that because there's always light surrounding us and we can only access so much of it depending on a vessel? But so people who really understand Shabbos are going to absorb more light because they're prepared themselves? Is that it? Is it, is it?
That is definitely it. That is definitely it. That is exactly it. And I like the way and if you use that vestibule as an analogy, it's because you're surrounded by the vestibule, right? And we know in Kabbalah, in the Kabbalistic ideology, there's something called an Or Makif. An Or Makif is a light that surrounds us. We are constantly surrounded by and enveloped into this light. But the Or Makif, we don't have much access to it. It doesn't penetrate so much, but we do have the ability, by making ourselves into a vessel, to allow that light to enter into our consciousness and to enter into our reality. And the way we do that is by preparation, by hachana, by preparing. The more you prepare for a mitzvah, there's a Hasidic idea that it's actually the preparation for the mitzvah which is more important than the mitzvah itself in some ways. Okay, because two people can both do a mitzvah, right? I can light Hanukkah candles and you can light Hanukkah candles. But if I just raced home from work, quickly got home and lit a match, said the bracha and lit my Hanukkah candles, but you, let's say, learned about the meaning of the Hanukkah candles, and then you carefully prepared your own wicks, and you spun your own wicks with cotton, and you invested time and energy and effort into the mitzvah, and then you sat down, and before you lit, you thought about what you were saying, and then you lit, and then you spent time looking at the candles. Obviously, more light is going to penetrate your existence and your experience than mine, right? Because I didn't do any preparation. So preparation, what separates, the performance of a mitzvah, one person's performance of a mitzvah from another person's performance of a mitzvah, is not so much the action of the mitzvah as much as it is the preparation that a person does. And preparation can be both physical preparation. For Shabbos, you prepare physically. You make the cholent, you make the kishka, you make the challah. But you also prepare spiritually. What am I going to? What's the parsha about? What topics am I going to bring up at my Shabbos table? Maybe I go to the mikvah before Shabbos so that I purify myself, so that I have more spiritual connection on Shabbos. So there's different ways to prepare spiritually as well. And yes, that is exactly what that on a Kabbalistic level, that's what that analogy represents. Thank you. Okay, so Lehisaneg al Hashem, to take pleasure, to bask in the Shekhinah, in the divine presence, to feel the pleasure of spiritual connection. That is the tachlis. That is the purpose. That is why we are here. That is what Hashem created the world for. That is the end game. Okay. How do we get there? What's the hachana? What's the preparation? Where does it take place? Olam hazeh, in this world. How? Through the performance of mitzvos. Okay. And then the Ramchal says, therefore, man, and we're on page 24 in the middle, therefore, man was placed in this world first, so that through these means, meaning the mitzvahs, the carrying out of the mitzvahs, the performance of the mitzvahs, which are available to him here and only here, he can reach the place that has been prepared for him. That's the tachlis, that's the goal, which is the world to come. There, in the world to come, he will be sated by enjoying the good that he earned for himself through these means, through the performance of his mitzvahs. This is what the sages of blessed memory said. This is what they meant when they said, and this is in also in the Talmud and Tractate Eruvin. Today, Hayom la'asosam. Today, Hayom la'asosam is the time to do them. Them being the mitzvahs. Umachar, and tomorrow, that means in the future, that means in the world to come, the kabel scharam is the time to receive the reward. That's how this system works. Okay, so there's these two stages. So we do the mitzvahs here. We purchase, if you will, or we create our eternity, our experience for eternity in the world to come. And then in the world to come, we experience the ultimate pleasure. Now, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't, at this juncture, share with everybody the analogy, which you have almost definitely heard from me before. But if you haven't, it's amazing. And if you have, you'll enjoy hearing it again. And that's the famous analogy, the famous mashal, the famous parable of the Chafetz Chaim. The famous parable of the Chafetz Chaim. I can't think of anything that illustrates this idea more magnificently than the famous parable of the Chafetz Chaim. The parable goes like this. There was a family, and they were poor. They were suffering terribly from poverty. One day, Shabbos, they're reading a magazine, and they see that there's this island out in the middle of the sea. And there's something incredible, remarkable about this island. What is it remarkable about this island? On the beaches of this island, instead of having sand, the sand is replaced with diamonds. And they read this and this can't possibly be true. There's no way. But they read about this article, and the seed is planted, and this guy gets in his mind that he is going to hire a vessel with whatever money he has, sail out to this island and see for himself if there are diamonds on the beach. And if there are, he's going to spend a few hours there. He brings a satchel. He's going to collect diamonds. He's going to sail right back. And that's going to be enough to take care of his family for generations to come. So he sets sail on a long voyage, a sea journey. And finally, he arrives at this island, distant island. It takes a very long, difficult journey to get there. When he finally arrives, he gets on the beach and he looks down, and lo and behold, diamonds. Diamonds. It was true. It was real. So what did he do? He takes out his satchel and he brought a back bag and he's filling them up with diamonds. It's unbelievable. My family, it's going to be an incredible experience. We're going to be so wealthy. We're going to be taken care of forever. I'm going to sail back tomorrow. It's going to be incredible. Right now I'm just hungry. Got to go eat something. So he goes to a restaurant on the island, and he's feeling pretty good. He's like a big spender now. So he says, first thing he says, drinks on the house, right? Everyone drinks on the house. So everyone orders the drinks, and he's having a full meal, vintage wine, aged meat, very expensive meal, but he doesn't care because the guy's a billionaire now. Doesn't care at all. Finally, the bill comes, and he says, no problem. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a diamond, hands it to the waiter. He says, here you go, keep the change. The waiter looks at him like he's a madman, like as if you were to hand the waiter, a handful of sand to try to pay the bill for the dinner. So the waiter says, what's this? He says, what do you mean, what's this? It's a diamond. This should definitely take care of the meal and more. Keep the change, it's your tip. He says, this is worth nothing. This is dirt. This is sand. This has no value on our island. This is not a currency here. He says, well, what do you mean? Well, how do people pay for things here? What's the currency on the island? He says, well, there's only one thing on this island that has any value whatsoever, and that is schmaltz, chicken schmaltz. What do you mean chicken schmaltz? He says, that is what has value on this island. That is how we pay for things. He says, well, how do I get some? He says, well, start working in the kitchen. You'll pay off your meal. He starts working for a week, 2 weeks. He pays off the meal. And then he gets hired as the head busboy. He gets promoted to become one of the waiters. And then he's the head waiter. And before you know it, he's doing very well and he saves up and he's got a lot of schmaltz. And then he goes and he makes an investment and that investment does well. And now he's really doing well and he's amassing huge amounts of schmaltz. He buys a restaurant. He buys a whole bunch of restaurants. He becomes a very, very wealthy man. And this goes on for weeks and months and years and decades. And he becomes one of the wealthiest men on the island. He's literally so incredibly powerful and wealthy. And all of a sudden one day he's like, oh my God, I lost my way. My family, forgot about my family. Forgot why I came here. I got to go back. I got to go back. I'm so wealthy now. So what does he do? He pays people and he builds this largest boat, a fleet of boats, and he loads up all of his wealth, his massive fortune of chicken schmaltz onto the boats, and he sails back on this long journey, and he tells his family when he's going to arrive, and they're waiting at the port, and as the boats are pulling up, there's this terrible foul stench, this horrible smell. He gets off the boat, he opens up the back of all the boats, and he shows them, look what I've got, we're going to be wealthy forever. And what's in the boat? This rotting, horrible, putrid chicken schmaltz. And his family was like, what do you mean? You've been gone for so long. What happened? Where are the diamonds? He said, the diamonds? Diamonds are worth nothing. So what do you mean? Were there diamonds there or not? Yeah, there were diamonds, but the diamonds aren't worth anything. Chicken schmaltz, that's the real currency. And his family is devastated and heartbroken. And that's the end of the story. So what's the parable? The parable is clear and obvious. Our neshamas, our souls are sent down into this world. Why? Why does the soul get sent down into the world? It's a big question. The soul's so happy, right where it is, perfectly happy, enjoying spiritual connection, enjoying total spiritual bliss, connected to Hashem, doesn't need anything, lacking nothing. But then the soul gets sent down into this world because the one thing the soul doesn't have is a sense of ownership, is a sense of having earned its closeness to Hashem. So the soul goes down into this world to acquire the one and only currency that you can bring back with you to the world to come. What's that currency? Mitzvahs. Those are the diamonds. So the neshama comes down into this world to collect diamonds, to bring back with it, to finance its experience in the world to come. Mitzvahs. So it gets down here, and all of a sudden the neshama starts collecting mitzvahs, but then the neshama realizes that mitzvahs have no value in this world. You know, who cares about the guy who's doing mitzvahs? Make some money, get a job, you know, go to college, get a job, get a profession, make some real money. Mitzvahs, learning Torah and yeshiva. Come on, make some money. So you go and you forget about the mitzvahs and you start making money, you start amassing fortune, becoming very, very wealthy. And finally, when it comes time for you to return back, for your neshama to go back, it brings all these, you know, dollars and bonds and stocks and everything that it's acquired and amassed back with it to the world to come, only to find out that it was totally valueless there. It means nothing. It's got no value. It's nothing. It's garnished. And the diamonds, what happened to the diamonds? Get sidetracked. I forgot why I was sent down here. I forgot what the true value is. I forgot what the true currency is. So the Chofetz Chaim tells that analogy, that parable, to try to warn us, remind us, while we're in this world. And this is what the Ramchal is saying. Why are we here? What's the purpose? Mitzvos. That is what you're sent down here to do. Of course, you need to make a living. Of course, you need to send your children to college. Of course, you need to live. But that's not why you're here. That's not why you were sent into this world. Why you were sent into this world is the mitzvos. That's what you're meant to do. That's what you're meant to acquire. And that's the only thing that you can bring back with you. And when you bring the mitzvahs back with you, that is what creates the eternal connection between your soul and Hashem. That is what creates the ultimate experience in Olam Haba. That, says the Ramchal, is why we are sent into this world. Okay, I'm going to stop talking, and we'll take the last 10 minutes over here for anyone to bring up any questions or comments or points or thoughts. Anybody want to share anything? We'll give somebody an opportunity who hasn't chimed in yet.
David,
Yes.
I chimed in once, but I'm sorry. But as Ali likes to talk about 5-finger clarity, it really hit me while you were talking. Hashem could have only created Olam Haba just as easily as both worlds. It just really drove home the point to me that you have to earn it, and why he put us in Olam Hazeh was for the connection that he wanted us with us. And
to earn it, because the difference between the self-made millionaire versus the person who inherits the $1 million, you can't
Right.
compare. One person feels that they did something, that they worked hard, they toiled to create this, the pleasure of spiritual connection that the soul feels before it enters into this world. The Zohar, the source of Kabbalah, refers to as Nahama de Kisufa, the bread of embarrassment. It's on the handout. It's on the it's not earned, and therefore it's tainted because it's not something that you toiled for. So the neshama comes down into this world to toil, to be able to earn that connection, so that when it goes back into Olam Haba and back into the spiritual experience, it's a totally different experience. It's an untainted experience now because it's the result of your choices, your sacrifice, your hard work, your commitment, your actions.
David?
Yeah.
Where does it say there will always be the poor among you, and there will always be more to do than there are people willing and able to do it? That's in the Torah somewhere.
No clue, but I like the quote. Google it. Why ask
Okay,
me?
so it sounds like that Hashem set it up. However, the problem is the willingness. So Hashem knew up front that there are people that are not going to be willing to do it. So if there are people not willing to do it, those people are going to get screwed in the world to come.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like an equal opportunity. Well, that's just an outcropping of free
put it like
will,
this.
which Hashem knew.
Hashem gives us the resources that he gives us because he hopes that we'll use the resources that he gives us to help other people, to contribute, to make the world a better place. And when I say resources, I don't just mean money. I mean money, but I also mean gifts and talents and strengths and qualities and all these different things, right? So,
Right.
and when Hashem sees that a person, this is a reason to give tzedakah. When Hashem sees that a person takes the resources that Hashem gives them and uses them to help other people, and Hashem says, wow, this is a guy that I want to, or this is a woman that I want to continue to give resources to because I see that they're going to use these resources to help feed my children or to help, take care of other people. So yeah, I mean, that is a big deal. And failing in that area is a major failure, in life. That we have to realize that we're just really custodians over everything Hashem gives us, our resources and our talents and everything. And our obligation, our responsibility is to use them for the purpose that Hashem gave them to us.
Yeah, but Hashem seems to know that there are two prerequisites. One, the ability. I mean, if you're dirt poor and you can barely feed your family, that's going to limit how much you're going to do for other people. But the biggest part is willingness. Hashem seems to have known that there are some people who are not willing to do it, which creates a fertile field for those who are able and willing, but it leaves a lot of people out.
But Jeff, everyone has free will and can change themselves at any time, at any moment, right? So even if a person up until now has not been willing to do something, they can become willing to do something. And Hashem's knowing and not knowing doesn't affect or impact my free will.
Hello?
Yeah? Okay.
I have
Jeff,
a
you got folks?
question.
Yeah, Julie, go ahead.
So how do we know that that's really true, that the world to come is where we're going to get the truest pleasure? It just, I
You
mean,
don't
I know it's a
because
leap
no
of
one's been
faith,
there
but
to come back and tell us, right?
oh,
So that's a good question. And the answer to that really is that's what we call Masorah. That is part of the oral tradition that's been passed down from from family to family, from parent to child, from teacher to student, going all the way back to Mount Sinai. These ideas and these concepts and these values and these truths were revealed to the Jewish people even earlier, but as officially at Mount Sinai. These are Torah concepts, and some sourced in the oral law, some sourced in the written Torah. And these ideas, are the bedrock of Jewish tradition, but not just tradition, but the oral transmission of what Judaism believes in. And it's all been transmitted either orally or written in the Torah itself, and that's where these ideas come from. Now, one could ask, well, how do I know that the oral tradition is accurate? And that's a whole nother discussion. We could discuss that another time. And actually, the Ramchal discusses that a little bit, so we can talk about that when we get there. But the answer really is this is part of our oral tradition going back to the revelation at Mount Sinai. Oh, but just before everyone jumps up, I just want to remind everybody. So, Julie, are we up and running or almost up and running?
Yes, we are almost up and running. It's supposed to go live tomorrow. I just want to double check.
Oh, okay.
Get
So,
going before Shabbat.
okay, so we hopefully everybody saw this, but we set up on our website a new opportunity for class payment for class tuition, and that is a class subscription. So the class subscription, the way the class subscription works is it's $90 a month per person, and it gives you access to all unlimited classes. So that means if you're for sure if you're attending 2 classes a week, like even if you're attending 5 or 6 classes a month, it becomes worth it financially to sign up for the class subscription. I'm trying to encourage everybody to sign up for the class subscription, and that way you just come in and out to any class you want anytime without worrying about payment or anything like that. It works on automatic payment system. That being said, if you choose not to do that, then the other 2 options are tuition, which is a monthly, twice a year option for paying tuition, or there's always a drop-in option also for drop-in for classes if you're only attending an occasional class here and there, or if you're bringing a guest or whatever. So, Julie, what are the drop-in option and the tuition option?
The drop-in option is $18 a class, and then the tuition is for 1 class. Say you just want to study with Rabbi David, then it's $250 for a semester. So it'll be twice a year. You'll get charged $250. And it really, again, we're not trying to make money. We're just need to cover our costs and paying our teachers and allow us to do other great things at the center, bring in speakers and things like that, and not have all the costs we want to.
Julie?
Yes.
A lot of us are going to be having to take required minimum distributions from our traditional IRAs. If you contribute directly from your broker, whoever holds your retirement funds, it's tax deductible. So I mean that's a great way.
Fabulous idea. Absolutely. As we're coming to the end of the year, why not?
It's got to be a traditional IRA, not a 401k, and not a Roth you can, because you just take it out. You don't have to pay taxes. But the traditional IRA, rather you get hit for whatever your taxes are, 30%. When you take it out, it goes directly to the Chaim Center, and you save having to pay taxes.
I think that's a great idea, Jeff. There's no, if anybody wants to do that and pay for the whole year or half the year or something like that,
Yeah,
just
I
let me
mean-
know and I will put it in the backend system and it's all covered for the whole year.
Well, you know, you
Great
should probably
idea.
add it to the newsletter and let people know, because I don't think a lot of people know about this.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So we probably will send out an email with links to start signing up. Hoping Monday night, if not Tuesday. We just want to beta test it one more time with the web developers. It just wasn't, I wasn't thrilled with how it was coming out on Friday morning and we just didn't have time to finish it before Shabbos. So,
Okay.
okay, so hopefully we'll see it, early in the week for everyone.
Amazing.
Great idea, Jeff. Thanks for passing that on.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. It was fun as always learning together. And we will, come say hi. Joseph just walked in. He's going to come say hi to everybody. Come say hi to everybody. My class, but everyone wants to see you. You're the man. You have to, here, sit down. You have to sit down. He doesn't speak English very well anymore. So you have to, if you want to speak, you got to speak slowly and loud. So we'll see everybody on Sunday or sooner, hopefully. And wishing everybody Shavua Tov. Should be happy and healthy and all that.
Nice visit, yo.
David,
Yes.
it's Doris. I've tried to reach